Hi there. Back again. I want to give you a little update on what's going on with our plan to get the FDA to change their dietary guidelines. Boy, I've been learning a lot of stuff lately. I'm going to recap quickly why we're doing this and the things that have brought this about and what I've learned. It's kind of an amazing situation, but really quickly, I had a heart attack in 2001. I was diagnosed with diabetes in 2010, neuropathy in 2015, and I have AFib. And I started to write a book in 2012. I'm not going to go into any of the gory details, but I wanted to find out why I contracted these diseases. I thought I'd always been pretty healthy and learned that I wasn't. And the problem turned out to be, when I got right to the root of it, turned out to be the low-fat diet that we had been placed on when my mother started doing it in the early 50s. And that's why so many of us in my age group, I'm 72 years old, have diabetes and related illnesses. And we've let this thing get out of hand. And when we go to a doctor, a lot of times the doctor will treat the symptom and not the cause. And so after a while, after I got into this research, I started finding out that everything my mother had ever learned about food was wrong. And we were eating way too much sugar, way too much processed food, way too much carbohydrates. And what it was doing was giving us all terrible illnesses. That's what's spawning this chronic illness epidemic that we have today, where 70% of the population is either overweight or obese. And they're saying that over half the country is pre-diabetic, and there's currently 30 million diagnosed cases of diabetes, and there may be more. And diabetes is the gateway to all of our problems. But at first, in the first video I shot, I talked about, I thought that we could sue the FDA, or we could get an injunction and stop it. But it's a government agency and we can't do that. And I explained that in my second video. So I've been looking around, trying to find out what could be done. And I stumbled on something the other day that was really quite interesting. There's a group of doctors now worldwide, and they number in the thousands, that believe in the ketogenic low-carb diet. And that is the diet that I find out we really should be on. And that's the one that will stop these diseases, actually. And but anyway, I ran across something. It's called the Nutrition Coalition, and it was started by Nina Teichholz, I believe her name is, and a group of doctors, PhDs, from major universities around the country. And they set out, their goal was, it was launched in October of 2015. It was formed to stem the tide of obesity and diabetes, believing the current FDA guidelines do not appear to reflect the most conclusive and current science available. And that's my sentiments exactly. They believe that following these guidelines has led to the current health crisis we're now on. And in 2015, this is really interesting, Congress ordered an independent review of the nation's top nutrition policy. And they ordered the FDA to have a separate independent group come in and do this analysis and have some feedback from other sources than the current dietary guideline, and they allocated a little over $1 million to do it. And what I learned is that they had the hearings, but they would not let anybody else that was against their guidelines speak at all. They were lined up to speak, but they wouldn't let them speak. And I guess you could call that contempt of Congress. The doctors that started this move. Let me just give you an idea who's on the advisory council, first of all. A gal named Cheryl Achterberg. She's a PhD dean at the Ohio State University College of Education and Human Ecology. Mark Kukasela, MD, professor, Department of Family Medicine director, pre-doctoral family medicine at West Virginia University. David Diamond, PhD director of University of Southern Florida Center for Preclinical and Clinical Research. Carrie Daluas, MD, orthopedic spine surgeon at Crystal Clean Clinic Spine Wellness Center in Akron, Ohio. Sarah Hallberg, DOMS medical director and founder of Indiana University Arnett Health Medical Weight Loss Program. I'm not giving you all of the credentials, but here's Osama Handy, MD, excuse me, PhD, medical director, obesity clinical program at Joslin Clinic, director of the inpatient diabetes program. Richard Jacoby, co-founder of Scottsdale Healthcare Center. Jeffrey Mechanic, a clinical professor of medicine and director of metabolic support and division of endocrinology at the Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. Stephen Nissen is a cardiologist, researcher, and patient advocate. He's chairman of the cardiovascular medicine at the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland. Ronesh Sinha, Sutter Health Palo Alto Medical Foundation. And Jeff Volek, professor of Department of Human Sciences at the Ohio State University. Now, Google in Nutrition Coalition and bring this up, and you get a lot of their resources on there. It's excellent, excellent stuff. And it'll tell you what's happened. And, you know, I was trying to find out this information, and I had a gal sign up for my newsletter, which I encourage you to do. And I'll give you that information at the end of this. But she signed up for my newsletter, and she attended the conference in Colorado that just ended about a bunch of low-carb people getting together, and she was able to get me. It's hard to get information on who to contact and who to talk to, but she gave me an email to Dr. Westman, Eric Westman, and I sent him an email, and I wanted to talk to him about the program, and I didn't expect him to even answer me, but I'll tell you what, he fired right back. I had an email in 5 minutes, and he just, I could tell the frustration in his voice. I'm frustrated, you know. But I can imagine what he's like. You know, he's getting nowhere, and he's a doctor, and I'm just a victim. And anyway, he gave me an email for Nina Teichholz, and I sent her an email, and I didn't expect to get anything back from her. And boy, right away, she fired back and gave me the resource here that I gave you today. The information on Nutrition Coalition. Anyway, and I could tell she's kind of frustrated too. I mean, and I signed up for a newsletter from the coalition, and I haven't seen anything from them yet. But this whole process has just kind of got me thinking that I'm headed in the right direction, and the right direction is this. Why, if these guys can't get it done, and it looks like they can't get it done, then we have to take matters into our own hands. And the current diet, the low-fat diet, hands down. We have all the proof in the world. I have on my computer probably 1,000 different studies and articles and stuff, and I know there's thousands and thousands and more from thousands and thousands of doctors, and they're presented to the FDA, and they gloss them over, and they don't pay any attention to them. And like I said, they were ordered by Congress to get this independent study done, and they won't let anybody listen. Let me tell you how important this really is. If you have, or if you know of anybody, here's a copy of my newsletter right here. It's 2 pages. It'll be on my website soon. And if you have ADHD, know of anybody, or you have it yourself, has ADHD, alcoholism, ALS, Alzheimer's, arthritis, asthma, autism, cancer, Crohn's disease, dementia, type 2 diabetes, gout, heart disease, IBS, obesity, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, stroke, thyroid disease, and many more. The root cause of this problem is this low-fat, my plate diet. That is the cause. There are people in this world, civilizations, that don't have any of the diseases we have. And they don't follow the FDA Dietary Guidelines. Pure and simple. If we want to turn our healthcare around, we have to do something about these dietary guidelines. What can we do? Okay, it didn't work. They went to Congress and it didn't work. Well, we've got to mobilize ourselves. If we care about this, I mean, I care about it because I'm a victim. And there's lots of victims out here. I mean, I experience it every day, especially the neuropathy in my feet. You know, we don't need to get this stuff. And there's civilizations that don't. And just simply the Eskimos, the Inuit Indians, they don't get it. The Maasai in Africa, they don't have cancer, they don't have dementia, they don't have Alzheimer's, they don't have heart disease. There's tribes in the mountains of Mexico, there's people all over the world that don't have the diseases that we do. And even some of the Western countries have altered their diet, and they're not as sick as we are. But we have got a $3.5 trillion a year industry that's feeding on us. And I guess that's the basic problem right there. I mean, if you go on that website and look at their different information that's on there, and some of the people that are sitting on the FDA board of advisors are former executives of Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and some of these major companies that are the root cause of our problem. You know, it's just a sad situation. We have to change. Now, for some of us, we're addicted so hard to carbs that it's not going to change. I mean, it's taken us almost 70 years to get to the point we're at now, and it's going to take a long time to change it. Okay? But we need to start. We need to start now. Is 70 years enough? Is your insurance bill high enough? I can't believe some people, a family of 4, the insurance industry says that a family of 4 will spend $25,000 on premiums, deductibles, and health-related things. $25,000. I mean, and to me, that's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We have to stop this now. So what I guess I'm saying is that the government isn't going to do it. These doctors aren't going to do it. It's going to take we're talking about a coalition. It's going to take a big group of people to get it done. But first of all, we have to get serious about what's going on. You know, I'm tired of this. I'm looking at we help anybody right now. I don't know if you've seen the latest studies, but they're reversing Alzheimer's for the first time ever. Never heard of that, but you probably haven't heard of it. They don't want you to know that, I guess. I mean, it should be, to me, that was the biggest thing I'd heard in a long, long time. There's another thing I just saw the other day. It's about replacing chemo. And chemo is just a terrible thing to go through. And they're taking they're taking immune cells out of people and tapping the spinal tap, and it's killing cancer. And but the answer is, let's not get it in the first place, and we don't need to. Everything is preventable, and we're just not doing it, and we need to. So here's the thought, and I'm gonna do probably one or two more of these videos, just so I get my bases covered. This is all kind of new to me, but I think if we get everybody together, everybody that's concerned, I mean, you must know somebody with Alzheimer's, dementia, cancer, heart disease, stroke victim. You know, let's pool our resources. Let's get ourselves together here. Let's get over a congressman. Now I'm going to work on that here. We've got quite a couple. We got one in particular, Chaffetz. I mean, he gets after some folks. And Senator Hatch in Utah is going to run again. We need to just join together in solidarity. Let's bring this nutrition coalition together with us so that they can back us up with the facts. I mean, the PhDs. I don't have a PhD, so I don't amount to much, except I've spent 5 years researching this for my book, which will be done quick, called You Can't Fool Mother Nature. And that's what we've tried to do. We've tried to outsmart Mother Nature, and it hasn't worked. So anyway, keep tuned, and I'll give you an update on what I learned again here. But we'll have a real solid plan of action. We want to get our congressmen involved. We're going to try to hopefully spread this out in a nationwide program. You know, the FDA we've got to get them under our control here. Anyway, tune in again. I hope that this makes a little bit of sense. I don't want to go on too long here, but thanks for tuning in. See you in a few days.